Welcome back to the My Online Schooling podcast, the place where we talk to staff, parents and pupils to find out more about life at the online school. In this episode, we go travelling with Brett and Amelia Irwin and their family, because Brett and Amelia were both living in the UK before acquiring an RV and packing up to travel around the world together. But now, of course, depending on My Online Schooling to deliver education on their behalf. But when they began their travels, they were reliant on homeschooling. So we're about to hear just how they coped before discovering My Online Schooling, how they felt when they did discover there was an online option, and what this meant for them as a family unit. But we also hear what's next for them as a family, where they're going to go and what they're going to do. So come with me now and listen in on this conversation with Brett and Amelia Irwin. Amelia and Brett, thank you for joining us here on the podcast. How are you both doing today?
We're doing really well, thank you. It's a great day today. Midsummer's day at the moment. So, like for this next month or so, we've got no light, no darkness at all. So we're really enjoying it. Really, it's really nice and warm.
And the lake has just thawed, so it's now blue water instead of ice.
Wow, fantastic. Okay, right. Give us a bit of context then. Tell us whereabouts in the world you are. It sounds like you're very high up in the northern hemisphere in that case.
Yes, we are. We are 300 kilometres north of the Arctic Circle. We are in Finland, in Lapland. We are surrounded by reindeer and normally snow, but at the moment it's beautiful because it's summer here.
Right. Okay. So summer in North Finland, then that's going to be a time where it looks beautiful, I'm guessing, but it's still not exactly a very warm sort of place. Is that right?
Well, you'd be surprised. Temperatures can get up to about 25, 27 degrees in sometimes on the hottest days, but they're few and far between. It's currently about 10.
Yeah, that's about average, I would say.
Yeah.
We're very far north at the moment, actually, that the buds are just budding on the trees. So even though it's like midsummer, they're just coming out now.
Spring has just sprung.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And what's it like having daylight sort of round the clock right now?
Yeah, it's not a great perk, to be honest. We live in a caravan, so our curtains aren't very thick. And it's very difficult to get sleep because it is literally, the sun is high in the sky at midnight, 1 a.m. You can go hiking at 1 a.m. if you wanted to.
Wow, that's incredible. So it's not just that it's still light, but the sun doesn't actually set. The sun doesn't go below the horizon. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. It doesn't even drop. It doesn't really drop very far from the sky at all, to be honest. It doesn't even, there's no like setting. It doesn't go low at all.
Wow, gosh, that really is really quite far north. Okay, so before we get into the real heart of this podcast episode, it'd be really good to understand a little bit about both of your educations, yourselves, your upbringing. Where did each of you go to school? Brett, do you want to go first?
Sure, yeah. I left. I'm originally from South Africa, and I left South Africa to do a gap year in England. I never ever left, and I became a chef. I studied in London, in Westminster, and I did my level 3 NVQ, and I've been a chef ever since. So basically, it gives me a little bit of freedom to move around wherever I want.
And Amelia, tell me about yourself.
Yeah, I'm from Cheltenham in Gloucestershire, and I went to school there, Cheltenham Ladies College for a bit, St Edward's, and then I went to Pates, and then I went to Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts, which is Paul McCartney's music school, and I did arts, music and entertainment management because I wanted to manage bands and go on the road and be a roadie and like organise events and stuff for music. So, and then I ended up running events and doing corporate events. So
Wow, excellent. So clearly travel is something that the pair of you wanted to do, and clearly it's something that you're both doing right now. But just tell us a little bit about how you decided to start doing this world of travel, and kind of what it is, where you're planning on going and how you're living. Give us a little snapshot as to an insight into your lives right now.
So like you said, we've always loved traveling, and we traveled. I met Amelia while we were both traveling. Then we moved back to England, and we had our first child, and then we got married, but our marriage wasn't the normal marriage. We decided to get married in 8 different countries, and we had ceremonies all along each country. So
hang on, eight different countries where you got married. Did you say that?
Yes, we did.
So it was literally all the way around the world. We started in France, went.
We picked the iconic parts of each country. So in Paris, we got married in front of the Eiffel Tower. Then we went to Moscow and we got married in front of the St. Basil's Cathedral.
The Great Wall of China.
Yeah.
Went to the Taj Mahal.
I think we're the only people ever to rock up at the Taj Mahal at dawn in full wedding regalia. Then we did. We went to Mauritius. We had a beach wedding. We went to South Africa, and we had a safari wedding.
Yeah, and then we went back. So it was 8.
Oh, and Mount Everest.
Oh yeah, and then Mount Everest. So it was kind of, if you look at it on a map, it goes in a perfect circle. So we just flew from one place to each, staying in hotels, lugging loads of clothes around.
8 wedding dresses.
Fantastic. That sounds great fun. And were they 8 different wedding dresses, Amelia?
Yes, they were. They were 8 different wedding dresses, and they were big wedding dresses.
Wow,
Yeah.
gosh. Okay, so why was it then that you decided then to start travelling? You mentioned that you're in an RV. Tell us why you started travelling and why you're in Finland right now as well. What is it about Finland?
So we started travelling because we were both made redundant, and it just kind of, we've been wanting to travel anyway, and so it was the opportunity because we both worked together, so we both lost our jobs at exactly the same time. It was like a clean slate, so we decided to purchase an RV and go travelling because we just love to travel and we always wanted to do it. But we initially thought we'll just do it for a year, maybe 2, because we got a bit of redundancy money, so we thought we can live off that and that's fine, and we'll just do a year or 2 and it'll be all fine. But we started travelling and we just really loved it. The redundancy money ran out when we got to Finland, so we realised that we either had to go home and get another job and go back to the rat race, as they call it, or we could look for work in Finland. So it was just at the time that Brexit was happening, and we really wanted to be able to travel and be an EU member. We're not very supportive of the whole Brexit thing, so we thought, money's run out, we need to get a job, let's apply to be Finnish residents, because we just hit Helsinki. So Brett got a job in a restaurant up in Lapland. We'd always wanted to see the Northern Lights. So basically that's kind of how it happened. We thought we'll just go up to Lapland, work a season, earn enough money to carry on travelling, and we can keep the dream alive. And then we got to Lapland and coronavirus hit. So we've been stuck here. Well, not stuck because we love it here, but we've stayed here longer than we wanted to due to the coronavirus.
And one of the reasons, of course, that a lot of people tend not to start travelling is because of children and education. So what were the thoughts and concerns that you might have had before you left as to how you were going to manage with Gabriel and education there?
So we thought we would do it ourselves. We have these sites on Facebook that we followed, and they, homeschooling and all of those. So we, bought loads of books and we started teaching Gabriel, and it was going really well. We had a great routine and it was going, but children tend to not listen to their parents very often, So
it went really well for 6 months.
Yeah, it went really well, but it got more difficult and more difficult. Not only did he get smarter faster, but he was being reluctant to having us tell him what to do. So it got very difficult. So then we had to find a different solution.
And how long was that transition period where you realised that it kind of wasn't working with you guys doing it yourselves until you discovered My Online Learning? And how did you cope in that sort of that lull, almost, you could call it?
Well, we were both struggling, and then Brett, like I said earlier, got the job here at the restaurant, so it was just me on my own, and I was getting to the point where I was tearing my hair out. He wasn't listening. He's just so clever, and he was asking me questions about maths that I couldn't remember the answers to, which was really embarrassing, it was just not cool. So I started to do a Google search on what was out there, what could I possibly do. I was thinking maybe some sort of lessons, like individual tutors perhaps could help with the maths, and then I discovered My Online Schooling.
And what was your first thought about My Online Schooling when you discovered it? Did you think that it was a slightly unusual concept, the idea of school being 100% online?
No, we thought it was amazing because we had done all the research on homeschooling but never ever looked into actually giving an online school to us. And then when we found it, we all just, it was like a
revolution.
Yeah.
And also we were expecting it to be really, really, really expensive, like the cost of private school education, which we wouldn't have been able to afford. We'd run out of our money. So we were really pleasantly surprised that it was actually affordable as well. So it was like a solution that was affordable. We just couldn't wait to sign him up.
Yeah, and we signed him up, and then everything just got better. Like there was less arguments because
we weren't in control anymore, so we
Yeah.
weren't telling him what to do, so there was no sort of arguments.
you can actually only ask children a certain amount of things to do per day before they get annoyed, right? So you get someone else to ask those questions during school, and then you can ask him to pick up the towel or do those other things as well.
Yeah, we were allowed to go back to being parents again and not parents and teachers, so that was really good.
It was amazing, actually.
Yeah.
I love that. You're allowed to go back to being parents again. That's a really good thing to hear. That really is. So if I was to ask Gabriel what his experience is of being with My Online Schooling, what might some of the things be that he says?
Well, I think he's glad that we're not teaching him anymore. That's one thing he'll say.
Yeah, no more nagging, no
Yeah.
more stress, and more fun, interactive and engaging learning. And also, he's actually made quite a few friends, which you think is a bit weird because they don't actually socialise physically. But even just yesterday, he was like, "Oh, my friend wants to meet me after in a chat room, and we're going to chat." And I know it's safe because I know that the friend is from school, therefore he is another child, and so it's completely safe for him to do so. So yeah, he's gained not just learning but a social life as well.
So tell me a bit more about the friends that he's made. I mean, without mentioning who they are, but sort of where they are in the world and how he does continue that friendship with them.
He's got one in Dubai. He was always telling us, "Oh, do you know how hot it is in Dubai today?" My friend said. And he's got a couple in the UK as well.
Yeah, some in Scotland as well. So they obviously chat during school, and then they can hear everybody what they're saying, and then they go to like their general meeting room, and then they share a link with each other like on Google Meet, and they say, "Okay, well, let's meet later at like 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock." And then they just chat on Google Meet and then play games together.
Minecraft. I can
Minecraft.
hear him going in the winter. I heard him going, "Oh, it's really snowy today. I'm going to go out on the snowboard," and all the kids going, "Oh wow, Gabriel!" So it's really cool. They're sharing. It's almost like they're sort of absorbing geography lessons without realizing it, because each child is sharing their own sort of location. So it's far more diverse than a physical schoolroom, because everyone comes from the same area, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, in a traditional school, everyone's from the same area, from the same town, from the
that's
same
what I
village,
mean.
generally
Yeah.
speaking. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about any of the practicalities then of being on the road or travelling in an RV and needing an internet connection to allow Gabriel to carry on his education. How does that work out?
So for us, it's worked out quite well. Originally, when we first started traveling, we needed to make sure that we wanted it to be secure. So with our internet, so we got one from the UK, but we found that throughout the whole of Europe, the internet connection is great, even in the rural areas. Through on mobile data, and it's really affordable, and it's really fast as well.
Yeah, so we just buy a SIM card from the local shop with a data package on it, and we just put that into our sort of pocket router,
Hotspot.
hotspot. Yeah, and that works really, really well. And it's cheaper to buy in each country a SIM card, because obviously you don't pay for SIM card, you're just paying for the data, and just to change out. So we've got loads of SIM cards from various countries that we've visited.
Yeah, stockpiled.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
where's next then after Finland? I mean, will you stay in Finland for a while? I mean, ignoring COVID for a second, will you stay in Finland for a while and travel around the country, or stay roughly where you are in Finland, or are you planning on leaving Finland and going to other countries around Europe?
So we can't ignore COVID, because we actually can't really travel at the moment. We are literally just waiting for the green light for all of the borders to open again, so that we can leave and travel onwards and carry on with our journey, because we were intending to travel down through Sweden and across into Norway, and then to head down towards sort of Romania area, and that was been our plan since Corona hit, kind of thing. So we are just waiting for the everywhere to become green and for us to be able to.
Yeah, but we are still basing ourselves in Finland. We're actually just in the process of buying a house we have somewhere to come home to, if anything happens.
Yeah, because obviously we've applied for the Finnish citizenship so that we can have that EU ticket without having to limit ourselves to 3 months per country.
Right, I see. So your future then is going to involve having a house in Finland, but then still having the RV and being able to do travel as well as having that house. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so tell me then a little bit more about some of those countries that you're planning on visiting in the RV. You mentioned about Norway and Sweden and Romania as well. Tell me a bit about where you're planning on going and why you're planning on going to those places.
So when we left UK, we made a plan of where we would go. And the plan sort of drove down south through France and looped all the way around and was going through Finland and then comes back down, which we planned perfectly that we see every single country in Europe by doing this kind of loop-to-loop really within Europe. So
the ultimate goal is to visit every country in the world before we die.
Wow, amazing. And how many countries are there?
196.
Okay, all right. See, I asked you that question because I figured that you would know the exact number. It's something that you're working towards.
Yeah, absolutely. I keep working out my percentages and stuff for how many we...
Yeah.
It's really sad.
We've both seen different numbers, but since we've been together, we've sort of like recounted what we at. So.
Yeah, so he's been to Cuba. I haven't been there yet. So
yeah, I've been to the States and all of those islands over there. So,
but we want to do this side of the world first, and then we'll do that side.
And with the RV, realistically, how far can you take that? I mean, clearly you could travel all the way across Russia and down into, in theory, into South Korea. But, realistically, how far are you planning on taking the RV before you then switch to jumping on a plane or a boat or alternative means?
So we are planning to do the whole boat sailing thing at some point, to do some of those islands around Malaysia. So that is in the pipeline. We're really liking the RV at the moment. We'd like to do Africa, but we think we might need an expedition truck for that, just for safety. And also, when we go to Australia, we won't be able to take the RV with us for import tax, so we'll have to buy something over there, maybe a small van or something. And then we'd like to do Romania with a Vado gypsy caravan. So because I've ridden horses all my life, so it'd be really cool to get a horse-drawn caravan to travel around sort of Romania and that kind of area. Brett's really not keen.
Yes, I've put debate at the moment.
But I'm very excited. I really want to do it. I think it'd be a great experience for the children to live how people used to live in the olden days. Obviously, we'll still have our internet connection because Gabriel does still need to learn. But other than that, everything would be just how it was in the good old days.
Now, this whole lifestyle sounds completely idyllic, and it really does. What advice would you give to anyone who is listening to this and thinking to themselves, I'd love to do something like that, but that's for Brett and Amelia and their family. It's not for me and my family because of education, because of my work, because of whatever other reason that there might be that they're possibly putting in the way, but actually they do deep down genuinely want to do it. What advice would you give to someone to encourage them to actually do it?
You only have one life, and you have to think about what will you regret on your deathbed, and will you regret not having a full-time job, or will you regret not traveling the world if that's what you want to do? And yeah, I want to be able to die with no regrets.
Yeah, time is the only real valuable asset we have, and it doesn't last very long. So you can spend a lot of time sitting in an office, and it kind of just blurs away the time. So we're trying to use every little bit of it that we've got.
Yeah, nothing worse than working for someone else, and if that's not your bag, then you need to get out and do what you want to do for you and spend time with your kids. Yeah,
spend lots of time together. I suppose the trick is to start planning it, even if you're not going to do it, and then you'll work it out that it is possible. It is really possible if you want to do it.
If you want to do it,
easy.
There's a solution to every problem that you can throw at yourself.
But don't just keep saying no. Just keep saying yes, and then it'll just eventually
find the
happen.
solution.
Yeah.
This is too inspiring. Both of you, it's been fantastic talking to you. It really has been. If anyone wants to follow you on social media, is there a way that they can find you online?
Yes, we've got a website. It's www.internationaltravel.tv.
Travel.tv.
Yeah.
Internationaltravel.tv.
And we've got a YouTube channel, International Travel, and we have a Facebook group, Escape to the RV.
Escape to the RV on Facebook.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And on Instagram as well.
Yeah, they kind of
on Instagram too. Perfect. Okay, well, look, Brett, Amelia, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for speaking to us on this podcast. I might go upstairs and pack my bag now and find a way to travel around Europe myself. It sounds really good. It really does.
Yeah, awesome. You should do it.
Thanks very much for your time. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
So that was Brett and Amelia Irwin talking about life on the road with consistent education. Thank you to both of you for joining us from North Finland to share your experiences with us all today. And if you're listening to this and you're inspired, then go follow the Irwins online and keep on track with their travels. And while you're doing that, don't forget to follow this podcast channel too, because then when the next episode is released, you'll get a small notification to let you know that it's available. So go and do that. But in the meantime, thank you for listening to this episode, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.